Imagine a man so infamous, so mysterious, and so untouchable that even his assassination reads like a horror story, complete with poison, bullets, and icy waters. Hi, I'm Sherry, and this is my friend Andy, and today we're diving into the real truth behind one of history's most enduring legends. Why Rasputin seemed impossible to kill, until he finally was. Okay, Andy, I need answers. But before we jump into the wild part, help us set the stage. Who exactly was Rasputin? The man, not the legend.
Okay, let's get started. Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin was born on January 21, 1869, in a humble peasant family in Siberia, Russia. He lived a quiet life until his late 20s, when he said a spiritual experience changed him. After that, he traveled as a self-proclaimed religious figure, gaining attention for his personality and religious ideas. He wasn't royal, educated, or powerful by title. In fact, he smelled bad, drank too much, and spoke like a prophet who didn't care whether you believed him or not. And yet, by 1910, this man had walked straight into the heart of the Russian Empire, not through politics, not through war, but through fear. The Tsar's only son, Alexei, had hemophilia. A small cut could be fatal. Doctors couldn't help him. Then Rasputin appeared. He didn't cure the boy, he calmed him. He told the doctors to stop experimenting, and somehow the bleeding stopped. To the Empress, Rasputin wasn't a holy man or a mystic. He was the reason her son was still alive. And when someone saves your child, you don't question them. You protect them.
So, if the royal family saw him as a savior, why did everyone else want him dead?
Well, to the Russian elite, Rasputin was a nightmare. A drunk, a womanizer, a man whispering into the ear of the most powerful woman in Russia during World War I. They believed he was influencing military appointments, political decisions, and even the fate of the empire. So by late 1916, Russia's nobility reached a conclusion. If Rasputin lives, Russia falls. So they planned his death. On the night of December 29th to 30th, 1916, a group of Russian nobles, including Prince Felix Yusupov, Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, and Vladimir Purishkevich, lured Rasputin to the Moika Palace in St. Petersburg with the intention of killing him. Legend tells us that Rasputin was first offered poisoned cakes and wine, enough cyanide to kill several men, yet he ate and drank without dying or showing clear reaction. But here's where legend and reality split. The only person who ever described this poisoning scene in detail was Prince Yusupov himself, writing years later in his memoirs. And historians agree, that account was almost certainly embellished to make the story more dramatic. Because when Rasputin's body was recovered days later, the autopsy found no trace of poison in his system, which means one of two things happened. Either Rasputin was never poisoned, or the famous poisoned cakes never existed in the first place. In fact, his daughter later said he never liked sweets, making the poisoned cake narrative even less credible. So the first reason Rasputin didn't die is because the poison probably never existed.
So, if the poison didn't kill him, what did?
Bullets. When the poisoning failed, one of the nobles panicked and shot Rasputin at close range. He collapsed, but the legend says he then struggled to escape and was shot again. Finally, the conspirators bound his body and threw him into the icy Neva River. The autopsy showed multiple gunshot wounds, including a fatal shot to the head at close range. That bullet killed him. Now, you'll often hear the dramatic version, that he stood up, ran out of the palace, survived more shooting, was beaten, bound, and thrown into the freezing Neva River only to die of hypothermia or drowning. Here's the key point that history and science agree on. When his body was recovered days later, the lungs did not contain water, meaning he was already dead before he hit the water. So the cinematic ending, escaping bullets and dying in icy water, is another layer of legend stacked on top of an already exaggerated story.
Why do we get the sensational version instead of the straightforward one?
Because the legend is more interesting, and because the most detailed account we have came from someone with a clear motive to spin it as mythic drama. Prince Yusupov wanted a story of a battle with supernatural endurance. History only gives us bullets and a headshot.
Last question. Did killing Rasputin actually save the Russian monarchy?
Not even close. His death didn't calm Russia. It exposed how fragile everything already was. Within months, the Tsar was forced to abdicate. The monarchy collapsed, and not long after, the entire Romanov family was executed as the Russian Revolution wiped out the imperial era for good.
Thanks, Andy. That was eye-opening. And if you guys watched till the end, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments what topic you want us to cover next.